Hi everyone, welcome back again to the Salt and Sauce podcast. Very much back to domestic football with a bang. Looking at Hearts and Hibs, two best friends on either side of the Edinburgh divide there. Myself, a Hearts fan, and Robert as a Hibs fan. Robert, probably your most enjoyable weekend in a long time, seeing as how you outed yourself as an anti-Hearts fan rather than a Hibs fan a couple of weeks ago.
I'm trying to wipe the smile off my face, Stuart. Um, it was, yeah, a very satisfactory weekend.
Will we get started with the Pittodrie game then?
Please do, Stuart. Please do.
So we lost 1-0. Obviously disappointed to lose. Uh, for me, we weren't great. Aberdeen were even poorer, in my opinion. The long and short of it is they had a chance after about a minute or something like that. The ball broke to someone on the edge of the box, fairly comfortable save, and then they got the goal. And I'll come on to it in a little bit. And goals like this are scored 100 times a season. But Keskinen goes to cut in. Kent actually gets the tackle in, and it bobbles around a couple of knees and then falls at Keskinen's feet again. Which that's where the element of luck comes in. But he then finishes it really well. It is a good strike. Um, but see that moment of ball bobbling around and then just landing back at your feet. I honestly feel that was the difference between us getting a point or even a win from that game, even though we weren't great. But I watched the whole game, but I looked at the stats after just to check if what I thought had happened, and it did. We had chances. We hit the bar with Milne. I saw someone say he needs to do better. I don't know, like it's the ball's bouncing. He's kind of on the stretch for it. Okay, maybe could do better. I don't know, but it wasn't criminal. Magnuson had chances. Braga had a good chance where their Milne, Jack Milne, has made a brilliant last minute challenge. The big one for me was Kabori's chance. It falls to him in the second half in the box about, I don't know, maybe 12 yards out, and he blazes it. You know, it's like the scene in Still Game when the ball hits Jack in the park, miles wide. Whereas Shankland, if he's playing, just passes it into the corner and it's
Mm.
1-1. And if we leave Pittodrie with 1-1, it's only one extra point, but it's just a massive boost of having that unbeaten run continue. So I know football's always a game of ifs and buts and things like that. This was genuinely a game though that I feel on another day we easily get a point, and on actually a lot of days we get a win, and it's the sort of win you get down the road and think, well, we weren't great there, but you take it. I don't see how Aberdeen can really sit there and say they deserve to win it. They offered very very little, I thought. So it's a funny game to reflect on. Ultimately, the disappointment lies in the fact that we've lost. Um, but the comfort lies in the fact that I don't think we deserve to lose, and the fact that literally every club in the country would swap places with Hearts right now if they could. That's the truth of it. The the thing about obviously we've dropped points in a few games recently. If that's spread out in a different order, you're less concerned. If Hearts are on 30 points, having maybe drawn with Celtic and Rangers, but beaten Dundee United and St Mirren recently, you're thinking, wow, what a season. If we draw with Hibs but beat Aberdeen, you're thinking this is still a brilliant season. But because we've had those victories and they've been and gone, and now we've had a couple of drop points recently, it looks a lot worse than it is. But I mean, I still look back at the last six games. Celtic have picked up 12 points in that time. We've picked up 11. So I do think there's a huge amount from Hearts fans and from other fans who are either getting too negative if you're a Hearts fan or too giddy if you're not a Hearts fan based on the weekend result there. But listen, ultimately when your team loses, you have to take it on the chin. So I'll take the defeat. It is what it is, and but no major alarm bells ringing.
Yeah, I think, I hate to say I told you so, Stuart, but when I was hearing rumors that Halkett, Beningame, and Shanklin were out,
Well,
I did say in the last pod, I know he got injured in the warm-up,
yeah,
Shanklin, but there were rumors going about that he wasn't available. And when I did see that, I thought, hmm, I don't fancy Hearts' chances. And I did call it in the last pod. I didn't call a defeat. But I thought you'd get a point, and but I thought it was going to be a very, very tough game. I didn't think. I think Aberdeen would be right up for it, and as we said, they're not a great team despite having some good players. Um, but Hearts weren't great either in the game,
Oh, no,
to be
definitely.
honest. And I think you're right. I think a draw would have been a fair result. But I think I know what you're saying. Obviously everyone would swap with Hearts to be top of the league, but momentum is a big thing, and that's what I've been saying that I've just felt over the past few weeks, the kind of momentum swinging away from Hearts and more towards Celtic, which we both predicted was going to happen as well. But I think that last minute McGregor goal
Yeah.
against St Mirren, followed by losing a game where you should have really got something from, maybe even won on the chances, but at least a draw. It must leave a bad taste in the mouth.
Obviously, yeah, I would rather have won, and I'd rather Celtic didn't get the last minute winner. That's fairly obvious. It's amazing how different that was as well. I watched the Celtic St Mirren game, and I mean Celtic were awful. They were so
Yeah,
bad, and it's a screamer with just about the last kick of the
yeah,
ball. And it's frustrating because you think they didn't deserve anything at all there,
yeah,
and they've got the 3 points. We okay, saying we deserve to win is I'm probably I'd be stretching to say that, but I thought we deserved to draw, and if anything, edged it, even on that side of things. But we've left with nothing. But that's how football works. We've had other games where we've not actually played that great and won this season.
and one, yeah.
We probably got 2 extra points from the derby than we deserved, in
Mm,
all fairness. So these things balance themselves out. But no, you're right to talk about momentum. The only thing I would say in that game, in that run, uh, drawing away to St Mirren, as we both agreed, not a disaster, and losing at Pittodrie, not a disaster, but I would obviously, I think we should have got the point, and I think that changes things completely if we do get the point. But again, I talk about it. Celtic have gained 1 point on us in the last 6 games in
mm.
that time over the
But
course of it.
I guess we've went from talking about a 9 point gap to now Celtic having a game in hand and can go a point behind, and you had to go to Celtic Park.
Sure, but again, we're talking about a 9 point gap. There never was. The 7 point gap was always with the game in hand. But that's why you have these gaps, is so that if you then have a wobble,
Mm,
you're still in the lead. But again, the other side of it as well is this is all based on the assumption that Hearts fans are walking around saying we're going to win the league, which nobody has seriously said that I know from the Hearts perspective. It has just been a fact we're thoroughly enjoying where we are right now. Even after defeat, we are still top of the league. Even if Celtic win their game in hand, we will still be top of the league. Um, okay, you look at that, if Celtic win their game in hand and then beat us at Celtic Park, then they'll be top. But again, I still think of it. If you said to me at the start of the season, that'll be, I don't know what, 15 or 16 games in by the time we go to Celtic Park. If you could be, let's say, 2 points off the top, you'd be delighted with that. So I don't know, it'll take a lot more than this to kill the feel good factor that has started the season. And even, losing Shanklin last minute was a bit of a blow. And Halkett and Beningame were misses themselves. I felt like we had enough, but that is honestly, I felt the difference. Shanklin was obviously very last minute that he had to pull out, and that's where, as much as I rate Kabori, and I think there's definitely a player in there, Shanklin scores the chance that Kabori missed, and it's 1-1 at that point.
yeah, and I guess that's where you're relying on Jamestown analytics for your squad depth, Stuart, because injuries happen across the league, and Hibs have been no stranger to it as well. We've had players out as well, stretch European teams. You said in the last pod you thought that the replacements would be good enough.
And they were. It was a game where we definitely deserved to get the point. And you're talking about different moments. I'm confident that that team, okay, they're not as good as our first choice in the same way that if you took, I don't know who Hibs best defender you'd consider, I don't know, Hanley best defender maybe, Mulligan and Bowie out the team, you'd be a worse team for it.
Mm.
That's a fact.
But
Uh,
would you be good enough to, I guess, would like the way we were talking in the last pod was that you had no concerns that the replacements coming in would get a result in Pittodrie.
No, I'd need to watch that back. I wouldn't say no concerns. There's no doubt that going from Baningime to Magnuson and Halkett to Kent is a step backwards. But I think that, there's definitely a version of the game yesterday where we win. There is, and even playing the way we did, and we've mentioned it a lot, and I know it's a bit of a cliche. It is fine margins, but we could have won yesterday, and had we won, folk would be saying, "Ah, you're a wee bit lucky to win that. That's fine." But I think Aberdeen were a lot luckier to win it than we would have been if we'd done so. So yeah, I don't know. Like I do think we've got strength and depth, and I compare it to last season. Uh, we're our first 11 we're struggling. Never mind our second 11 or our second two or three players on top of that. The one thing I thought I would have liked to have seen differently yesterday was I thought some of the subs were a bit bizarre. Spittle, who actually did okay when he came on, Forrest, Wilson, who are rate but he's young. I would have much rather seen the likes of Kajota coming on, dangerous player as Hibs know all too well. Kabangu coming on rather than Wilson. Um, so yeah, do you know what? That's one thing I would certainly look at. That was more of a concern that the choice of subs there. I thought that was a little bit bizarre. Honestly, outside of the fact that we've not got any points from the game, I don't leave there with any huge concerns. And I know you enjoyed your Jamestown analytics comment there, but they're serving us well.
I think the man they love to hate, Dave Cran, the Aberdeen fan, is dying to come on. But yeah, just I thought that it would be a bit of a struggle, and I guess it turned out that way. Very few times in one of the very few times I've actually been right in my predictions. Um,
No,
yeah,
listen, it's fair enough. We didn't play well, so no, you were right on that part. We did drop points. You were right on that part. Um, and I can't argue against either of those points. Obviously, I
yeah,
guess the thing that I'm arguing against, and it's not necessarily that you've said this, just stuff that I'm seeing online, including
mm,
Hearts fans, is the whole thing about the bubble bursting and all that. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think it's too soon to say that. Obviously, if we continue to drop points, then sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you know, there's a
I
version of us.
think people are looking as well at Aberdeen. Like Aberdeen were in a better place than Hearts were last season. I didn't realize that. Someone put up the stats there that Aberdeen were on more points last season.
Yeah,
They must have had a phenomenal start last season. I know they
they
did,
did.
but I didn't realize it was as good
Yeah,
for them to drop like a stone like they did. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Hearts, but you know, as I said, momentum and like your mentality changing a little bit. Everything's great when you're winning, you're top of the league, uh Hearts were at the start of the season, like Aberdeen were, all those bits of luck, the VAR decisions going your way as well. And then all of a sudden when the run kind of ends, or you have a bad defeat, that's when you really see what your players are made of, I think. So I think the next couple
yeah.
of games are going to be pretty big for Hearts because I was looking at the fixture list. It's not a kind one.
No, it's not actually. Yeah, I was looking at that thinking they're coming in a different order than they did at the start before. Um, so yeah, no, listen, it is a tough run of fixtures coming up, but that's where we need that test and we need to see where we're at. And if we fall short, that's okay. That's fine. We take that on the chin and we think, right, well, where do we need to strengthen? Um, but again, we've got the points on the board. Um, Celtic probably will catch us, obviously, over the course of the season. But even thinking about Rangers, and we talk about them maybe and how lucky they were at the weekend. I imagine you'll be a bit annoyed at that as well. Um, Rangers and Hibs, who would both obviously love to catch us in terms of getting second or third, we've got the points on the board that they don't at the minute,
Mhm.
and so we'll enjoy that. And you guys are going to have the tough fixtures that we've got over the course of the season as well, and we just need to do all we can to keep ahead of as many teams as we can as it goes. That,
Yeah,
that's the way it works.
no, that is the way it works. And
Another thing you've got a smile on your face about.
on to the Hibs game on Saturday, Stuart.
Yeah, well, I'll let you talk through it, but pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a quick one, really, and I take great pleasure in that because, as I said, there's not been enough of them this season,
Yeah,
um, and I think. we are now starting to kind of find some momentum. We are again not firing in all cylinders. It wasn't an amazing performance, but it was a good one. And again, I would say out of five gears, we're probably in third. Um, Dundee are, I mean, th
Well,
I know they beat Celtic and stuff, but
yeah.
they're dreadful.
I mean, I said the same thing against Dundee. We walked away with 4-0, and I was like, did we even play well? But then
Yeah,
I also thought, did we have to?
yeah, and really 2-0 flattered them
Yeah.
because the thing I've been calling for, Mulligan in the centre midfield, it just makes us a different team. And now we have Nicky Cadden backfiring as well. So I was really, really happy with the performance. I asked for a professional performance, no frills,
Yeah.
job done. Even a 1-0 I would have taken. It's all about results with the league being so tight. But we got the performance and we got the result as well, which was nice. Again, without playing our best, and I think that's a good place to be in.
Yeah.
We haven't played our best football. We probably did in Europe, to be fair, against the likes of Midtjylland and things, but in the league, we are yet to kind of fully hit our stride, I think. But there's signs now that we're getting a settled team, we're getting a settled backline, we've a good goalkeeper now in place. We have Bowie scoring again, which I'll come on to describe. We have Nicky Cadden back on form. Chris Cadden's regained his form. We've Newell coming back, and then you look at our bench, and we've the squad depth there with the likes of Cleejay, Hoylett, Johan, who can come on as well if we need them to. So I thought we were good without being brilliant, but it was a good professional home performance. So in terms of the game, so we started really well. Again, we were kind of controlling the game. Again, what I was wanting to see from Hibs is kind of just a bit more building from the back, not just kind of punting it up to Bowie, because when we were having that bad run, that's what was happening. We were
Yeah.
just kind of going back to front a little bit too much. Whereas I can actually see us building it now, and obviously our one of our main weapons is get it out to Nicky Cadden on his left foot. Um, so from the game, Bowie misses an absolute like one of the worst misses of the season. Have you seen it?
I know I didn't see
The
that one.
header.
Oh, all right. Oh,
Um, the ball comes across, and I don't think he's about 6 yards out,
right. Okay.
and he heads it over. And
Oh, I don't
obviously
know. I don't know how I missed that.
on the run he's been on, and not really scoring, and obviously out of the Scotland squad,
Yeah.
you just felt, is this going to be one of these days again for Hibs when you miss chances like that? But to be fair to him, he stuck at it, which it you know shows he's got a good mentality, and he actually gets his reward because I think it's Barlaser.
Okay.
Um, he was brilliant all day. He was just spraying it about the place. Just he looked like kind of a Rolls Royce of a player. And
Yeah.
Mulligan was obviously in the engine room, and Barlaser was just foot on the ball, pinging it from side to side. Someone put up one of those like swinging clock things. You
Oh,
know
the
what's it called?
Newton's Cradle.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And they were like Barlaser today because that's honestly all he was doing. He was just spraying it about, and Dundee put no pressure on him, so he was just dictating the game and getting out to Cadden at will. And we should have scored. As I said, we should. I think 3-4-0 wouldn't have flattered us at all.
Yeah.
So Bowie, yeah. So Barlaser knocks it out wide to Nicky Cadden. Cadden gets on his left foot, drills it across the box. And Bowie, rather than kind of lashing at it as he's been doing, just in the desperation to get a goal, he takes a really good touch while the ball's actually arrowed into him, keeps it under control, and it's a really, really nice finish. And, there's a really nice moment of the two of them embracing because obviously Bowie's probably been a bit down, and it was good to see him kind of regain some form that way.
Yeah, sure. And strikers will be judged on goals. I think Bowie will always put himself about and win free kicks in some ways. But he needs to put the ball in the net. And if he doesn't do that, then he is rightly going to get criticised.
Yeah. And I think Gray made a good point, and it's a point you made kind of about Shankland as well, I think last season, that if you're not scoring, you have to impact the game in other ways. So you
Yeah,
need to be holding the ball up, creating for others. And to be fair, I think with his movement and his work rate and stuff, no one can kind of deny that. I think sometimes as a player, you can just try too hard sometimes,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you rush things and you overthink it. Whereas that chance, he didn't have much time to overthink. It was in the back of the net, and as I said, he should have scored again. So yeah, that's 1-0. And again, we were so in control. I was never worried really about Dundee doing anything in the game,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I'm kind of scratching my head as to how we kind of ended up in even a nervy situation for kind of 5-10 minutes in the game because we were
Well,
so far ahead.
I was going to say I can't remember at what stage of the game it happened, but I spoke about fine margins, and your keeper's made off the top of my head at least two really good saves,
Two
which
really good saves.
which I totally agree in terms of the balance of the play.
Yeah,
It would be totally unfair, but suddenly that could be 1-1 or 2-1 or
of
2-2 or
course. I
whatever,
think we were.
and it's a totally different game.
Yeah, I was going to come on to that because we score another. Uh, McGrath hits the bar with a really nice
Yeah,
effort.
that's it. Yeah, yeah,
That would have been a really, really nice goal. And then I think it's Nicky Cadden again whips it in. It might have been Cadden to Mulligan, and then Mulligan finds McGrath, and he just again kind of sorts his feet out really quickly. He's really good at that actually, and
yeah,
it's a really really nice finish. And again, he's got that in his locker, and he's actually now adding a really impressive goal tally together now. So that's what we bought him for. That's why he's one of our highest earners, and it's just good to see that he's finally starting to kind of find his stride again
yeah, for sure.
because he's a good player. I'm sure you'll agree.
No, no, it certainly is, and again, it's when you're a fan, you see it week in, week out, and you can make these greater judgments. But it's similar to what I said about Bowie. The judgment will come almost to do with the numbers as
Yeah,
much as anything. So getting those numbers up that doesn't hurt.
and it's goals, it's assists. That's what you're looking for from
Of course, yeah.
McGrath.
Jamestown would love it.
Yeah, he would love it. But again, I think the criticism has been valid of him that Hibs fans have had. He's just not affected games enough when
Yeah,
we really really needed someone to do something. Like he's not done it enough. But look, I don't want to be negative because last few games he's really stepping up to the plate, and I think us playing a kind of settled 11 now in a system that suits those players has kind of mean we're getting the best out of our big players again.
yeah,
So that was 2-0. And as I said, I expected us to kind of add 3, 4 because Dundee weren't really offering much. And then we just kind of sat back and we just started almost inviting pressure onto us.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think,
the 2-0.
I can't remember when the first save was. The first save was kind of, I think, a cross and it came over and Salinger just kind of parried it like that with two hands. And there's another one that's a more impressive save. Was it the one-on-one?
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, there was the one-on-one at 2-0, I'm sure. But anyway, the point is you want your keeper to make big saves.
Well, I used to always think this, and obviously having had Craig Gordon for so long, who rescued us on a number of occasions, folk could always say, "Oh, you're so lucky, your keeper's kept you in it." And I'm going, "Well, no, like you have to sign a good keeper in the same way that you can sign a bad keeper,
Mm,
or the same way you can sign a good midfielder. Like he's a part of your team. Obviously, the defense's job is to stop the ball from even getting to the keeper.
mm,
But Hibs Hibs have struggled to get a good goalie for a while. It looks like you've gone out and got a good one,
yeah.
so why not get praise for that?"
Yeah, absolutely. And they're every big team in the world relies on their keeper at some point, and it's just good to now have someone between the sticks that's making those big saves. Because as you say, that could have been the difference. It goes to 2-1, and all of a sudden you get nervy, and then they get the last minute goal. You could just see it happening.
Of
So the
course.
fact you keep a 2-0 lead, and I thought he played really really well. It just shows the value of having a good number one.
Because
Uh,
even one of them going in, suddenly it's nervy.
yeah,
And,
exactly.
and and even if you see it out, you're like, you feel different about
Yeah,
the game at 2-1, even at full time than you do at 2-0. So no, I agree. A routine 2-0 going on more is probably exactly what Hibs have needed.
Yeah, definitely. And it just it's back to back wins as well. And we now, as I said, we need to hit our stride now. We need to look at keeping ahead of the teams below us because obviously it's so tight, as we said, that
Oh yeah,
if you get
yeah.
a draw, they get a win, all of a sudden, like you're in joint third then, or you drop down to fourth.
Well,
It's
see,
so
it's that
tight.
tight. It's that tight. You could be down in fifth or sixth
Yeah,
within a couple of games.
yeah. So tomorrow night, I guess that leads on to in terms of Motherwell, a quick
Mhm.
turnaround needed, and again, this is where we need our squad.
Yeah,
Will Hanley be dropped possibly? He's had two grueling Scotland games. He's played the game on Saturday there, and then to go on Tuesday, and I'm assuming Gray's going to want him in on Sunday as well. So
yeah,
he might be a guy that comes out, but I don't see us making wholesale changes.
yeah. No, I think that's fair. The problem is that it's easy to look ahead to the Celtic game at the weekend
Yeah,
and forget that actually you've got a really tough game tomorrow.
absolutely, absolutely, and Motherwell, one of the form teams, I think rightly they've had a lot of plaudits this season
Yeah,
for the way they played. I think the manager's got them playing some really good football. Certainly the best Motherwell team I've seen in a long time.
I can't think of
Can't
a
really
better.
remember. Maybe Scotty McDonald team.
No, I mean, there's been good
No,
effectiveness.
I'm joking. Yeah,
In terms of football, it's unbelievable.
yeah. They're playing some really nice stuff, but and this is a big but. They leave a lot of space at the back
Sure.
because of the way they play.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, Hearts had a crazy game against them last time and even going 3-0 down, which was fully deserved for Motherwell.
Yeah,
Um, it's why we were able to get it back.
yeah,
'Cause
exactly,
we weren't,
exactly.
we're good, but they were vulnerable.
Yeah,
Whereas
and
a
it's
team
it,
like
it's the it's the risk and reward of that kind of all out attack and play. Like it's entertaining, and Hibs did it a bit under Lennon, where you just go right, five attackers up and just see what happens. Right, five v Rangers. It's
yeah,
great to watch, but for a team like Motherwell, who perhaps don't have that quality of player to, uh,
and a suspect goalie as well.
yeah, exactly. That you you would like to think that as a Hibs fan going there, we're playing well, we're getting momentum, we're creating a lot of chances. That should play into our hands.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, the thing that I guess is just playing on my or would be playing on my mind if I was a Hibs fan is it's away. They're good. You've had a lot of games this season. You've had more games than Motherwell this season. Okay, it's been a little while now, but certainly I imagine you'll have had more players involved in international duty. Hanley being
Yeah,
an example of that. I I guess my question to you is: Are you thinking you'll win?
yeah. I think it's going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be it it could be a really high scoring game because both teams are reasonably attacking.
Yeah.
Both teams haven't been fantastic at the back over the course of the season. So it could be, a 3-2 game, but I think
Oh,
more likely we're looking at probably if I was to bet, I would say a 2-1 Hibs win, but a very hard thought one.
yeah, yeah, and I'm sure you won't be too offended at me thinking draw.
No, no, no. I
Just
think
because it is
that's
a tough game and Motherwell are
yeah,
decent. And again, it's the sort of thing that you're right, both teams are good going forward, maybe not as great at the back. It's the sort of thing that if a team happens to take a 2-0 lead after 20 minutes, I know both teams have been guilty of throwing away leads, but that could just change it because there is a version
yeah,
of Motherwell that go out and just completely catch Hibs off guard.
yeah,
But similarly, that could happen the other way. Or do both teams cancel each other out?
yeah,
It's quite an exciting game actually. I'm really looking forward to it. But I think I don't know if this is just because I'm a Hearts fan, but I'm seeing a draw in that game.
yeah. And that wouldn't be the worst. Obviously, I think we need to keep winning just
Yeah,
for the kind of momentum and everything else. But a draw wouldn't be the worst result in the world away to Motherwell. But we will go for the win.
obviously you want to win.
So who have Hearts got the weekend, Stuart?
Well, we're away to Motherwell next weekend.
Well, there you
So,
go.
so if you could dish out a few dead legs on Tuesday, that'd be great.
We
Next
want them
Saturday,
as we want them as fresh as daisies.
Hibs are going to lay down.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
would love that because you want Hearts to lose more than Hibs to win, so you love that.
No, it hurts to win the league,
Yeah, sure, sure.
but
Um, wait, by the way, again, do you know I'm saying similar things to what I'm saying basically about Hibs there. Um, although the only thing I would add to it is that I do think Hearts are better than Hibs this season, and I think the points show that. So with that in mind, it'd give us a slightly higher chance of going there and getting a result. Um,
momentum, Stuart.
you love that. This is like the drop points against St Mirren all over again. Uh, so yeah, it kind of it will depend a little bit about how Motherwell get on Tuesday night. We've obviously got a bit of extra rest than them, so that's good for us. So again,
You
that
away, did you say, Stuart? Yeah.
yeah, we so both games are at Fir Park. So for me, a combination of that game on Tuesday and the fact Hearts have had a better season than Hibs so far, it gives a greater chance of winning at Fir Park than Hibs. So this is where I'm going to put Hearts down as a 2-1.
Is that Hearts the 2-1?
Maybe it depends on Shankland. I was told, from what I've heard, he's getting his calf assessed today. Um, but they weren't concerned about it. He was a maybe for Aberdeen, but it just wasn't
Hmm.
worth the risk. So you'd hope
It,
he'd be back for Motherwell.
it's hard to tell without just seeing them again tomorrow, Motherwell.
I know.
Because as I said, I've kind of only seen highlights of them this season.
Yeah.
And obviously they are a good side and they look like they play good football. Um, I think that's going to be a draw.
I love that. We're both of us confident for our own team, but confident the
Yeah,
other team's going to slip up.
yeah.
We've had it a couple of times when we both had the same next fixture because of midweek games.
Hmm.
I think we had it with Celtic earlier or something like that. But so aye, that'll be an interesting one, and Motherwell will feature heavily on next week podcast as well. So
So
should get
Motherwell
Sam,
fans tune in, and
we'll get Sam
obviously
Cowan on.
the the Sunday Hibs
Aye.
Celtic, and I'm
That's,
going.
oh, you're making it. Is that
Going.
Parkhead? Is it?
No, it's at Easter Road.
Oh, is it East Road?
Easter Road. So Sunday, I think it's a 12 o'clock kickoff. So I've not been to a match in ages,
Yeah.
just because gymnastics tournaments and everything that I've had to take my daughter
I was gonna
to.
say not for you.
I wasn't performing myself, no. Um, but yeah.
So
So
go on then,
it's a,
right? Come on, at home to Celtic. Um, as you say, I would argue have they turned it around too much because it's not as if they were dropping loads of points under Brendan Rodgers. Catastrophic against Dundee, and then they lost against us, obviously. But has Martin O'Neill really improved them that much? I'm not sure he has. Performance wise, I would certainly argue he's not. You've got to be thinking there's a chance here.
yeah.
I'm hoping there's a chance for Hibs.
I think there's a chance we can get something from the game. Um, as you say, they're not the team that they were.
No.
They still have players that can do things as mo in moments as St Mirren found out,
Yep.
but they're vulnerable. And if we could get the first goal on next Sunday, the place will be rocking. The
Yep.
belief in those players, and it'll have Celtic rattled.
Well,
So
that's what we had. We had that early goal, and
exactly,
the crowd was just buzzing. And even when they equalised, it was one of those moments where we were making more noise than the Celtic fans. That come on,
yeah,
that come on energy in the crowd. And I suspect Hibs, whether they score, whether they concede, whether they score and then concede, you'll have that same energy.
yeah. The only thing is, I guess when we've played Celtic and Rangers, we apart from the 0-0 kind of away at Parkhead, which again was just parking 11 behind the bus really and
Backs
punting it
against the
every
wall,
time we
that
got
one.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was an old Stoke on a Thursday night, Tony Pulis with a cat performance. Um, I hope we just have a go. We've got players in form, we've attacking players in form. Let's high press them. Again, what Hearts did to Celtic. Spook them. Get after them. We're the home team. Don't sit back and let the likes of McGregor dictate play. Don't sit in deep because there's just going to be one outcome if we do that. We need to obviously be sensible. We can't go all out attack, but let's try and get the first goal, and then let's try and get them to come at us, and then hit them on the counter. That would be obviously the ideal.
So I'm just wondering about some of the players you've got, and I'm thinking about that midfield battle, for example. And we had
Mm,
obviously the likes of Devlin and Beningame. They're the sort of guys that are really good at getting toes in here and there.
mm,
So Hatate, McGregor, they couldn't really settle. We then
mm,
had Kizaridis and Braga, bit of a nuisance up top.
mm.
Even their fullbacks were nervous. What do you think Hibs have got that could do it? Because I look at Mulligan and look at McGrath. I'm not sure they're as in your face as Devlin and Beningame. And the
Mulligan would
players
be.
Mulligan, okay for you.
Yeah, Mulligan would be that type of player, and
Okay, fair enough.
I'd put Chiwa in as well.
Well, I was going to say who would you play because
Yeah,
the player that sprung to mind who might do that would be Josh Campbell, but I don't think you want him to play.
no, and look, it sounds like I don't like him. He's been a great
No,
servant for Hibs, and I just think we his qualities to start this game isn't going to be the way forward.
if you're
That's
one
not
nil
to
up with
say he
10
might
minutes
play
to
a
go,
part in it.
yeah. If you're 1 nil up with 10 minutes to go,
That's when he would come into his own. Yeah,
Campbell, right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
fair.
I would start with Chiwa,
Mulligan,
Mulligan,
McGrath.
and McGrath. Yeah, probably. But that's leaving Barlaser out, who's been really good.
But
So
that's, I mean, you can't have too many. I know you
no,
want them to go, but you can't have too many on the ball players against
no,
Celtic.
you can't. You can't.
With all due respect, their on the ball players are going to be better than your on the ball.
Yeah, yeah,
What you need is an in your face midfielder, and Mulligan can maybe do that.
yeah.
But if he's doing it himself, I certainly don't
That's
think
yeah.
McGrath. I don't think McGrath really plays like that.
No, no. But I think Ray will start him. I just think he will because he's scoring goals from midfield,
No,
and
absolutely.
he might just pop up with that moment of
So,
quality.
so you're great. Do you bring Chua in for Barlaser?
Probably. I
That's
probably
harsh.
would do that. It probably, yeah. No, it is harsh, but I probably would. And I think obviously the we've enough strength and depth on the bench if we need to drastically change things as well. But I'd just like to see us go for it. Yeah, we've got a chance. Um, we're on good form. We're playing good football, arguably better football than Celtic are, and it would just be, a huge lift for us if we could get
Yeah.
if we could win on Tuesday and then follow that up with, a good performance and I'm not going to say a win, but get something from the game
Yeah.
against Celtic. It would be a solid enough start after all the
I
negativity.
mean, I would argue that so far for me, that draw you got at Celtic Park was elements of a turning point for you because it hadn't been brilliant up until
Yeah,
this point. But that
yeah,
that was a steely performance that
yeah,
kind of got the fans back on side a wee bit.
yeah. I'd say so. I'd say so because everyone like me
Aye,
was expecting an absolute
tanking.
doing because of the way we were defending and playing. So no, I think to be fair to Great, he's looks like he sorted it out. Touch wood, we don't go to Motherwell tomorrow and
Lose
like
4-0.
lose 3-0 exactly. That would just be typical Hibs. But anyway, no, good chat. Obviously, it's a bit longer. We've covered a lot of games, reviewing and previewing. So
Well,
that's why it's been a bit longer.
it has very quickly. Final thing, Robert. Prediction for Hibs Celtic.
1-1
I'm gonna have to go for a Celtic win on it, just because I mean it is Celtic and they are more likely to win most games they play.
scoreline.
2-0, they'll get a goal and Hibs will stay in the game. They'll then open up a bit to try and get an equaliser, and Celtic will get you on the break.
And then we'll be like, right, just score because Hearts.
Yeah, get the goal difference up. You've been cheating them in.
Yeah, right, okay.
Well, we will catch up next week, Robert. We'll see. We've got loads of games to look back on next
Yeah.
weekend, or next week rather. But yeah, until then, we'll see you all then.
See you later.